Chinese EVs are flooding global markets at prices that seem almost too good to be true, and these are the electric cars that promise to save you thousands, only to cost you everything in the end. For a growing number of owners, that's exactly what they are. In 2025, BYD sold over 4.6 million new energy vehicles worldwide, capturing roughly 18% of the global EV market. Their UK sales alone exploded by 567% in a single year. Brands like NIO, XPeng, Leapmotor, and MG are pushing aggressively across Europe, North America, and beyond. Leapmotor backed by Stellantis, NIO, and XPeng expanding dealer networks from Amsterdam to Oslo. The pitch is simple: better technology, lower price, why would you buy anything else? But beneath that shiny, affordable surface lies a set of problems that never show up on the sticker price. Start with why these cars are so cheap in the first place. Labor costs in Chinese factories run dramatically lower than in the West. BYD advertised a factory job in Shenzhen in 2023 paying between 5,000 and 7,000 yuan a month, which works out to roughly 555 to 777 British pounds. BYD has also mastered vertical integration, manufacturing its own blade batteries, chips, and components in-house, cutting out suppliers and slashing costs at every stage. Unlike CATL, the world's largest battery supplier, which sells cells to Tesla, Volkswagen, and BMW, BYD controls its entire battery supply chain internally, giving it a structural cost advantage no Western rival can easily replicate. And MG, now owned by SAIC Motor, competes in the same aggressive pricing bracket, while Geely's portfolio, which includes Volvo, Polestar, and Lotus, shows just how deeply Chinese capital has already embedded itself into the brands Westerners already trust. They achieved all of this while nearly 500 competitors fought for survival in the Chinese domestic market. Over 400 of those companies collapsed between 2018 and 2025. Hi-Fi, Motor, Byton, Singulato, Luico, Bordron Motors, all gone. The survivors are battle-hardened and ruthlessly efficient. But efficiency at scale doesn't automatically translate into a good ownership experience once you're living with the car thousands of miles from where it was built. And this is where the heartbreak begins: depreciation. Fresh data from Germany's DAT Group, Deutsche Automobil Treuhand, shows Chinese EVs and plug-in hybrids depreciating at twice the industry average. After 3 years, you're looking at a residual value of 40 to 50%, compared with 65 to 70% for established brands. That bargain you thought you got? The initial savings often shrink to just $3,000 to $5,000 in real terms once you factor in total ownership costs. Martin Weiss from DAT put it plainly: it's not enough to launch a good product. Brands also need strong support systems behind the scenes if they want used buyers to stay confident years later. Insurance is where things get genuinely painful. When analysts sought quotes for the electric Skywell B11 in the UK, only one insurer out of 10 would even provide cover. The price? A staggering £2,203 annually. Compare that to the Peugeot E3008, which received competitive offers from 9 out of 10 major insurers, averaging just £838. Part of that gap comes down to how insurance groups are set. Thatcham Research, the UK's authoritative body on vehicle safety and insurance categorization, is responsible for assigning the ratings that insurers base their premiums on, and Chinese EVs are consistently landing in higher groups due to repair complexity and parts availability. Chinese EVs are estimated to cost 20 to 30% more to insure than comparable models. And in China itself, the insurance industry lost 5.7 billion yuan, that's $802 million, from underwriting new energy vehicle policies in 2024 alone. Chinese EV owners tend to be younger and are roughly twice as likely to file claims, and repair costs run significantly higher. Insurers are losing money, and they're passing that risk directly to you. Repairs might be the most devastating part of the ownership experience. A customer in rural Colorado with a BYD Seal developed a minor battery management system fault. The diagnostic tools needed weren't available at any local shop. The car had to be flatbed 180 miles to Denver, parts took 12 days to arrive from China, and total downtime exceeded 3 weeks for a repair that should have taken 48 hours. And that's not an outlier. UK owners on BYD and GWM forums report wait times of 8 to 16 weeks for specific body panels after minor collision damage, while Toyota or Volkswagen owners typically wait 2 to 4 weeks for equivalent parts. One story captures the absurdity perfectly. Someone bought a brand new EV for £35,000. It suffered a third-party hit, just the door and wing mirror damaged. The manufacturer couldn't provide a lead time for a replacement mirror, so the insurance company wrote the entire car off. £35,000 totaled because of a wing mirror. For independent mechanics, working on these cars is like operating in the dark. A technician working on a BMW can log into a portal and download torque specifications instantly, but many Chinese models remain a complete black box without localized repair manuals. This forces workshops into trial and error, which is particularly dangerous when you're dealing with 800-volt battery architectures. A simple 2-hour job turns into a 2-day investigation, and if the brand itself disappears, you're truly on your own. When WM Motor filed for bankruptcy in October 2023, owner Richard Chien discovered he could no longer log into the company's smartphone app. He couldn't lock his car remotely. He couldn't see his mileage or charging status on the dashboard. The car's connected features simply vanished overnight. That's the structural risk nobody mentions when they're dazzled by a low purchase price. Safety adds another layer of complexity. In April 2025, 3 people died in a crash involving a Xiaomi SU7 on a Chinese highway while the car's driver assistance system was engaged. Xiaomi subsequently recalled over 116,000 SU7 vehicles due to flaws in that software. BYD conducted its largest recall ever in October 2025, affecting more than 115,000 vehicles over design and battery-related issues. Xiaomi's founder Lei Jun stated publicly that Xiaomi would not evade responsibility, but responsibility after the fact is a different thing from preventing the problem in the first place. To be fair, safety incidents aren't exclusive to Chinese brands. Tesla has faced regulatory scrutiny over electrically operated door handles that may fail during fires. And in standardized testing, Chinese EVs actually perform well. The BYD Seal, Neo ET7, and MG4 all earned 5-star Euro NCAP ratings, matching Mercedes and BMW scores. The engineering capability is clearly there. The question is whether the surrounding ecosystem, the dealers, the parts supply, the software updates, the long-term brand stability, can keep pace with the hardware. As of 2026, BYD operates about 100 dealers in the UK, and MG has roughly 180. Toyota runs over 400. That gap is not trivial when your car needs a physical inspection or a warranty part fitted. Most Chinese-built EVs also don't qualify for the UK plug-in car grant, the scheme that offers up to £2,500 toward eligible zero-emission vehicles, because it excludes vehicles from higher carbon intensity supply chains. Then there's the data question. Chinese EVs collect enormous amounts of information, location data, driving patterns, voice recordings, camera feeds. Under China's 2017 National Intelligence Law, the government can compel companies to hand over that data. Ontario's Premier Doug Ford called them spy cars. But let's keep perspective here. General Motors just agreed to a $12.75 million settlement after illegally selling driver data to brokers for 5 years. Surveillance through vehicles is not a uniquely Chinese problem. It is, however, uniquely concerning when combined with a government framework that explicitly enables data access. So here's the reality. The cheapest purchase price rarely equals the lowest total cost. When you factor in depreciation running at double the industry average, insurance premiums that can be 2 or 3 times higher than European rivals, parts that take months to arrive, a repair infrastructure that doesn't yet exist at scale, and the genuine possibility that the brand you bought from might not be around to honor its warranty, the math changes dramatically. Ford CEO Jim Farley called the Chinese EV industry the biggest threat to his business. After visiting China, he said it was the most humbling thing he'd ever seen, that their cars carry far superior technology, lower costs, and great quality. He's right about all of that, but a reliable car without accessible, efficient support infrastructure becomes unreliable in practice, and the vehicle's inherent quality matters less than the ecosystem surrounding it. Chinese EVs will almost certainly improve. Insurance data will mature, parts networks will expand, dealer coverage will grow. But that's the future, and you're buying a car today. The question isn't whether these cars are good. Many of them genuinely are. The real question is whether you can afford what happens when something goes wrong.